Movie is called Christmas in the City, and I play Tiana, and she is a very rude, kind of shady, kind of just mean to kids, and just all about herself, kind of a Cruella de Vil-ish kind of a woman. And she's actually hired as a consultant to come and help the store out, because there's a lot of business in Christmas. The store is not doing well, and they're trying to get more money, in the store. So they hired her to kind of revamp everything. And she is a snooty one.
So she's like a kind of a Scrooge character of the holiday.
Yeah, I would definitely say Tiana's the Scrooge of the movie.
Okay. And what about the role attracted you to it? Why'd you want to play Tiana?
You know what's funny? Originally, they casted me to be another character. They casted me to be Wendy's friend, her best friend. And when I read it, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. But then when I read Tiana, I'm like, oh, but she's funny. You know what I mean? And I said, this is something completely different than anything I've ever done. So I said, let me give a stab at it and see how it feels. And I loved it. It was good because it was a challenge, and it was something that I was really not being myself, so I loved it.
Right. Was it hard for you to be really a bitch?
No. You know what's so funny? She was very queenish, so the children are gonna live, she's like, yes. You know what I mean? So they're gonna love that. Her attitude is just very, oh no, darling, that's not happening. You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think that her wardrobe kind of reflects her attitude too.
Yes.
Did you like wearing what she got to wear? You
know what? I loved it for the character. Okay. It was always tight, and she had her fur, and she had her high heels, and her hair was always coiffed. Her lipstick and makeup was always perfect. So it definitely suited the character.
For sure. Are you a fan of holiday movies?
I am. I like holiday movies. It gets you in the spirit. It gets you it gets the family together. If people are off from work, they're like, oh, let's watch this movie together. So, it serves more than one purpose.
Sure. Do you have a favorite?
What's my movie called?
Shut My Eye Out.
Yeah. What is it called again?
It's my Christmas Story.
It's a movement for me. And I'm kind of taking my fans on a journey, because now I'm a little bit more open. I'm going to start revealing a little bit more, because I've been gone for so long. My last album came out in 2008, so musically, I think we're in a time where you have to be sort of transparent, not too much, because you have to still keep a little mystique about yourself, but it's time to kind of show who you are. This is a new age with social media, social network, and everything, and you have to keep up with what's going on. You have to kind of give people a reason to want to buy into what you're doing. Why should we support her? What's going on in her life?
Right.
What makes her different from this one? So I'm just excited about the whole entire movement. And I think the title, Braveheart, it just exemplifies everything that I am right now.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's like you said, it's been through a lot, really. But I imagine that what was supposed to come out, early last year, it's a totally different album, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It is. I recorded 60 records, and it's just crazy, because they always say, towards the end, that's when you start getting your best stuff. So I waited towards the end, and I got to the end of the end. You know what I mean? And then stuff started getting better and better. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But it's a lot of hard work. It really is, and it's very stressful. And I'm the type of person, I'm not a great decision maker. I'm a little, yes.
Otherwise your nail person would really?
Really? She'd probably have to use all fingers.
Yeah, that's right. It's not surprising. It just, is it again in the ear where you're like, okay, people are going to like this. This is going to be good.
Absolutely. When I got the beat, LT Hutton, he's my family. Much love to LT. He emailed me while I was shooting Army Wives, and I remember I was on set, and it was one of the days I guess we had off, and I had waited 5 days to actually get to the email. I was in the room, I opened it, and I'm like, oh! I took my headphones off. I'm like, yo! And I got goosebumps, and I was like, this record, this beat is crazy, because to me, it was instant. It was classic, it was hip-hop, it was R&B, it was sexy, all combined in one track. And it was current. And I was like, I started writing immediately. I called him. I'm like, yo, I'm so mad I waited a week to open the email. But I loved the beat. And I wanted to do something a little more confident, a little more sexy. But the guys could still nod their head. You know what I mean? And get the little two-step on. And I have, I put a little flow in there. And just, I'm a melodic person. And I feel like for radio, it's really important to have melody. And quick that people can just understand. Yep. So when I went in the studio and I wrote the verses, I was just like, I love this record. I was so happy about it. And at first, we were thinking about putting someone on there, and then we're like, no, maybe we just leave it. No, let's put someone on there. So that went back and forth for a few months. And then, we got Ross. I made the call. And it's so funny. I called Ross. We sent him the record. And I was in Vegas. He called me at it was 6 in the morning. I'm like, what is he doing up? And he left me a voicemail, and he started saying some of the verse on the voicemail. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's fire. So I was super, super excited. So it came together with a lot of energy and a lot of love. So I got it.
The moral of the story is to always open emails from LT the second you get them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice. Is there a release date set yet? I mean, I know next year at some point. Are you narrowing it down?
I feel like we have to come early next year, latest probably spring. And I say that because, again, my last album came out in 2008. And we've put a couple of records out here and there. But I feel like you have to be visual. People have to be aware. You have to have records spinning, not just one good song before you release an album. I feel like I want to put out more records, and I have so many. So I want to, again, build that momentum to say, hey, it's here. So for me, I know for a company, it's the fiscal year and the numbers and, you're a commodity. But the artist side of me knows that before you release something, you have to have people aware of what's going on, and I want to put records out and remind people of the movement for me. So that's why I don't want to put a quote-unquote date, because it's not okay, this comes out here. You know what I'm saying? It's not like an item to me.
Right.
I know it is for the label, but for me, it's not an item. So I feel like I put a guesstimate out there. I feel like, when it's ready, it's ready.
Yeah, you want to have the interest out there, because what's the point otherwise?
Exactly. Yeah. We waited this long. We better get that momentum up.
Exactly. No, it's a totally, more people should do it like that, because that way people are excited. And they're like, wow, so this is what we can expect from this kind of an album.
Exactly.
That's great. And I guess you having your own label now kind of has given you this business knowledge, so that you really have both sides now, and you're able to both see where they're coming from, but be able to be an artist too and be like, look, I know how you're feeling here. I got a label myself, but this is how it should be done. So I guess
absolutely
part of your growth, I imagine.
It is, and I've learned a lot. I will admit I'm a tad bit spoiled. So if something doesn't go my way, I'm really mad about it. But with a business hat on, there's sometimes that you push the envelope, and there's sometimes that you have to kind of fall in line. When it comes to the big numbers and partnering up with a company and things like that. So, it's a fine line, and I try to be very professional regardless of what's going on. Whether I feel like they're wrong or, I'm not happy with what's going on. Sometimes you have to, put the business hat on and say this is what needs to be done.
Totally. And finally, got so much going on, but really big things, of course, acting and music. You had to pick one, which would it be? You know what? I used to say I have two things that I say that really explain it. Can you pick between blinking and breathing? I mean, I'd like to, I'd obviously... Or, would you pick between your children? That's fair. You know what I mean? What I will say is, my passion is music. There's nothing that fulfills me more than going into a studio and writing a record and it translating and having another person say, man, I'm going through that right now. That's the best feeling in the world for me ever. Yeah. As far as acting, I love it. I love being artistic and exploring
other parts of my quote-unquote personality, like this character Tiana, is hilarious because it's so not who I am, but I had a blast being that person, you know, just for a couple of weeks. So, again, that kind of sums it up for me. I wouldn't necessarily choose right this minute. But what I will say also is, there's a little bit more money in acting right now. Let's just keep it funky. There's a little bit more money in acting right now. Music is just, you know.
Sure. Well, you're doing a great job balancing it. So,
Trying to.
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it.